Well, good afternoon, my friend. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you, Melissa?
It seems like, we had the good fortune. We'll introduce ourselves in 1 second, but we did have the good fortune of stitching together the other night. But I still feel like we haven't done the podcast together in a while. I don't know why.
Haven't. Honestly, I'm not sure that we've put a Pointing It Out podcast out in a while. So
Yeah, I think it was mid-December, maybe. So we took a week off for the New Year's.
that's
So
sort of I actually think you may have done the last podcast. So I'll
yeah,
introduce myself first. So I'm Megan Holmes here at the Needlepoint Clubhouse in St. Louis, Missouri, and together with that lady, Melissa McLeod up at the Wool and the Floss in Grosse Pointe, Michigan. We've been doing our Pointing It Out podcast, a video podcast on YouTube, which is probably where you're finding us if you're watching this live. And I have to tell you something funny. My kids are kind of obsessed with YouTube, which I shouldn't admit publicly because people are probably going to be like, oh, good, Megan has no control over her children. But it's funny to me when they watch a YouTube video, it'll say like suggested for you. And almost always our face shows up on the screen of my house. It's so embarrassing.
well, related to that, my nephew is, oh gosh, I'm embarrassed. He's in third grade. What does that make him, like 9?
Eight, eight, nine. Uh-huh.
He lives out of state, so I don't see him all that often. We see him like twice a year. And according to my sister-in-law, he thinks I'm like a real big shot because
Because
he's
you're on
seen me.
TV.
Aunt Melissa's on YouTube. So to the 8, 7, 10-year-old crowd, being on YouTube is a really big deal. We all know it's really not. So anyway.
The big deal though is that the amount of people who continue to share the enjoyment and the education that they've gotten from this podcast is the reason why we keep doing it. And so, believe it or not, there are other people besides that 7 and 8-year-old set watching this, enjoying this. And so, that is exactly why we keep doing it. 22 was an awesome year. I'm wearing my celebratory New Year's champagne glasses gifted to me by Catherine, my one of my employees, because it's exciting. I think it's exciting sometimes to, you know, kind of cast off an old year and usher in a new year and the excitement that it brings and the joy that it kind of the refresh, the reset, all of those things. I think it's really exciting. So
And
cheers.
I think that statistically speaking, more stitchers are women than men.
I think that's
Statistically
fair.
speaking, women still in this day and age, in many times, take care of more of the home front things than men. And there's
Girl.
hero exceptions to this. But in all that to be said, I've always said that January is the mommy days, meaning that like June hits, and when your kids are little, it's all, you're taking care of your kids all summer. And then it rolls into back to school, and then it rolls into Halloween, and then it rolls into Thanksgiving, and then it rolls into Christmas. It's January. It's all about me. And even like my kids are long grown. They're all, in college or out of college, but it still feels like this is my me time now. So
It does. And so we've, for the past 2 years, I think we've taken this opportunity, the beginning of the year, to recap our challenge that we've issued, I guess is the right way to say it, and then announce and unveil a new set of exciting ways to enjoy your stitching. And so I think we're going to start by just kind of giving a couple of little dips and dots of things that we worked on for our own challenges. Is that right?
yes, but we want people to stick around to the end because we're going to draw for the prizes.
So
Right?
if we can start with 2022.
I have no words.
I have some eyewear here for us. So go ahead, Melissa.
No words.
I may not have all my stitching lined up in front of me, as I told you before we started here, but I do have an accoutrement.
Well,
So
you look fabulous, dear. Just fabulous.
look at that. Isn't that so fun? You want to know something before we go? I saved these because I thought they were so awesome from last year's New Year's. And I was like, when can I ever wear these? And I was like, you know what? I am going to wear them when we recap.
One last time.
One more moment to let them shine. Okay. So what do you have to share with us besides funky eyewear?
Nothing that exciting. What I do have to share with you is not nearly as much fun, but I sure had a good time doing it.
Yes.
I have a few, I think when we talked last, we were through like our third quarter of stitching for the challenge. And I had, I'm looking, only two items left that I hadn't done.
Well, isn't that nice?
And I had a few things, I had two things that I can show you that are now finished. So the first item, this is now finished. So I showed
All
this.
right.
So this was the as inspired by, right? And I was inspired by Megan.
Yes.
She had stitched her version of her dog, which you have kind of a lab mix, would we call Rookie?
Yes.
He's a lab mix, so and he's a he. I have my little Maisie, who's my 4-year-old dog, and she's a she. So this is the Plum Stitchery. Well, it's distributed through Plum, and this is Dana Menke.
Yes.
I get the two Danas mixed
Yes.
up.
No, it's Dana Menke.
No,
it's
it's
Dana
Menke.
Menke. It's Dana Menke.
I always have to think. So for those of you who are wondering why I'm such a ding dong, besides the fact that sometimes I am a ding dong, Joanna at the Plum Stitchery represents Dana Menke and Dana Gibson, and amongst probably 10 other artists, so, and her own beautiful, fantastic art. So I get them confused all the time. I apologize. So anyways, Megan had stitched this with Rookie, and she'd used this Lily Pulitzer rough night fabric on the back. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do that. So, so I think she has like 10 cats and dogs or so, I would say, in these little guys. And so I had finished this little bean bag, used Megan's fabric. Our little PSA that Megan has mentioned before is this fabric, I think, as large pieces is discontinued, but you can still find small cuts of it on Etsy. Make sure you don't get the jersey fabric, which is like stretchy pajama fabric. It's this cotton twill, maybe. Would that be what that would be called?
Maybe so. I thought it was more like a sateen, because it's real kind of soft, but I don't know. It's cotton.
You never want stretchy fabric for finishing needlepoint. So watch out for that, because I almost fell down that negative rabbit hole. So anyways, this was my as inspired by Megan, and I love it. And of course, she's holding her gingham cup. Because it was as inspired by Megan, I had to put gingham on the edges. So
Love that. Love that. Well, I think that I had categorized this as, and I don't have as many things in front of me, I don't think, as you do. And let's be honest, I really don't think I did as many things on the challenge as you did, but I gave it my best shot. And anyway, I landed somewhere.
So we're going to have to exclude you from the prizes?
Yes, you will have to exclude me from the prizes. And I'm happy to exclude myself so someone else can win.
Yeah, we were both already excluded, just for the record, but go ahead.
This one is like 99.9% done. I just simply have to tack on that little carrot nose. I stitched over top of it.
Cute.
I think that this one was under the category of stitch a monogram or put your name on it or something. I can't exactly remember what we called it, because I am fully engrossed in 23 now. I'm already thinking about that. So I'm
choose a bygone.
Anyway, so I had a really good time. I added a little embellishment to that. And then I've got my little guy one. I'll just show you, still in progress. So he's getting there, but that's my Ward and this is my Claire. But these of course are available through your shop. Kelly Hoke gifted these to me very lovingly because I think they're awesome. And yeah. So
good. Yeah. Yes, she's a good friend to our shop. We have a little special arrangement going on. So Kelly's my bud. So speaking of other cute little round things, I think I showed this off before. This was my stitch and open stitch background, which it is open. So I showed it last time, but now it's got all its glitz and glamour, and he is ready to go to the finisher. I just can't quite decide what I'm doing with him. So it's big. I think he's a 5-inch round, and I'm going to write a little stitch guide for him. This is from CBK. It's a Ginny Diesel piece. So I don't know if he's going to go on the front of a pillow. I don't know.
Beatles, yeah. I often think in samples in the shop. And so I just had someone stitch something for me because we needed a box edge pillow. I would think, do you have a round gusseted pillow, or because I think that would be cute. I also like to see those rounds done as appliques in the center of a pillow.
That's what I
think there's a lot of ways, but you're kind of the queen of finding, how do I say, like objects in the wild and bringing them into your needlepoint. And I'm going to totally digress here, but at Hobby Lobby, not a paid advertisement, I found this little thing at the end of the season where it was a little Rookie dog on ice skates, and you could count down the days until Christmas. It had like 2 little cup hooks on it, and you like took, so I'm picturing like if you could find like a little base of like skis or something cute underneath that, that would be really cute. But anyway, I don't know. Who
The other thing
knows?
we don't have in the shop right now as a sample is a kissing ball. And
Oh,
I like to have kissing balls done, and I don't like them hanging, and it's probably because I don't have a big grand house with high ceilings.
same.
But they look really cute resting on a candlestick.
Oh, cute. You know, the other thing you have at your house, and sorry, I'm just like going down a rabbit hole. We're never gonna get this
We
done.
always do. It's okay.
You showed, I have been talking about doing this in the shop for a long time, and you showed a photo of your mantle at home. I want to do what you did, which you have like the stocking holders that have needlepoint sitting on top. I love that look. In fact, I bought stocking holders for that very purpose, and I just haven't done that yet. But
So many hours in the day. So yeah,
very cute idea though. I love that.
thank you. I've got this one. I think I'm bending the rules a little bit, but again, we're not eligible for prizes, so it doesn't matter. This is another Joanna Plumstead piece, but it's actually by Riley Sheehy. I started this 2 years ago, I think, when our first year we did the challenge, and it was buy yourself something new. And I'd been obsessing over this canvas. So I'm almost done, but I tend to do things a little slowly, but I'm kind of glad I haven't finished it, because it's going to reemerge in the second half of our episode. And I'll tell you why. But this was my very pathetic excuse for Very Perry, because I'm not really a purple person. So my Perry is definitely leaning very bluish Perry.
Well,
But
the other thing, speaking of bending the rules, throughout the year, I had lots and lots and lots of questions about, does each item have to be its own ethos? Like, can I do 2 of the challenges on one canvas? And what I always tell people is there are no needlepoint police. The challenge is to help you flex your needlepoint muscles, try a few new things, expand your mind, do the things. We don't really want you to choose like one canvas and do everything on it, because what fun would that be? But, you know, yes, you can do 2 things. So what I was going to say to that point is, first of all, Kelly Boverman, my needle minder, I love Bovaire art, and I bought that. I think that's the one I bought at Melissa's. Anyway, or Melissa gifted to me. Sorry.
I gotta get
to my stash. I won't. Sorry. Anyway, this is my Very Perry, which I think is actually periwinkle. Like it's truly the periwinkle color.
Yours is a much truer periwinkle.
But the reason why this is probably going to count for 2 once I get it done, I've ripped the panda like 100 times. The reason I'm counting it for 2 is because I think what I'm going to do is a photo of my daughter and my husband on fabric on the back. And that was inspired by Carolina Bluebell, Jessica, did her kiddos at the Magic Kingdom on the back of that castle ornament. And if you guys remember my story where my daughter bought this like almost life-sized panda when we were on our trip to Disney, and she had it in the plane with her. And there's this great photo of my husband like holding the panda. So from the back, you can see like the butt of the panda and him holding Claire's hand, like totally annoyed that he's carrying this giant panda. Anyway, I just think it'd be hilarious to put that photo on the back of this. So that's going to check off 2 marks one of these days. So thank you to, I believe it was Jessica who was the first one I saw do that with that photo print on fabric. I just think that's really cute that you can get from Spoonflower. So,
well, and
the only show and tell I have.
Just to jump back for a second, I made a point about the fact that I gifted that to you for a reason. That was foreshadowing.
Oh, okay. Are you giving me something else?
Maybe. But we'll talk about it in a minute. Okay.
Because it's okay. Sorry. Fell short on the uptake. Hey, listen, you fell short on the uptake on a little inside joke we have too this week. So,
oh God, I was like, what are you talking about? Anyway, we digress. The last thing that I have, I was actually going to show you something else. I finished. You can just take it. I finished a piece that was a non-December holiday piece.
Oh, good.
Show it off, but I turned it into the finishers already. So I did finish one of the Kirk and Bradley Poison Bibles. Poison
bottles. I love those.
Yes.
I love those.
The other thing I'm working on right now, this has been dancing stash out of my rotation for probably, well, a very long time, because can you see the tape on there? Nashville Needleworks. I think that was before I even worked here, which I've owned the shop for almost 6 years now. And I worked here for about 5 years before that. So does that tell you anything? So this is the Halloween March. I am hoping to finish it this year, and I've been madly working on the background stitch, which I love. So yeah, so that's my non-December holiday piece.
And that's, isn't that by Liz Goodrich?
Liz
It's
Dillon, one of the-
Halloween March.
Yes, yes, it's one of her marches. And there is a stitch guide by Connie. I don't know if it's by Connie. I apologize. I don't have it with me. It's through Nashville Needlework, so possibly by Connie, but I know sometimes she has stitch guides that aren't. But the background stitch just wasn't working for me for whatever reason. And that's part of the reason it got set aside for a long time. And I finally figured out, let's see if I can grab it without knocking over and making a giant mess, because I think it's right here. I found this Threadworks thread. You see it?
Yeah, oh yeah. Mhm.
Big and blue, and this open stitch. And now, I mean, I can't even tell you how many stitches and threads I tried for the background. So I've now finally found what I like. So maybe this will get done this year, because as you can see, like a lot of the rest of it, maybe I should show you this slide. A lot of the rest of it is actually done.
So I'm not sure if my piece that I'm planning to finish this, I'm gonna have to figure out a way to make it work in this challenge, because my Halloween piece I'm working on is Agatha with a Threadworks overdye, just like, actually, I know how we can make those work. Anyway, it's a cool Threadworks overdye floss that's just kind of perfect. A lot of those Threadworks, I don't know why, but they kind of lend themselves to Halloween, because some of them are kind of dusty, hazy in the sky. I think you picked a beautiful one. So, all right.
This has
So-
almost a better accoutrement on right now than you do, Megan, by the way.
Oh, well, let's test it. Let's test it. Come here, Liz.
Come here, let's stick your head in here.
I don't have lipstick on.
Well, no one's gonna be looking at your lipstick with that thing on your head. Don't worry.
Hi. Yeah,
Hi.
that's pretty cute too.
I heard
love
her
it.
say you had something on, so I went to look in my little bag of tricks for my show. And apparently I only like the spring, because I have Valentine's, St. Patty's, and bunny ears.
Oh,
that
were you
Kay
trying to
bought me.
dress me?
I was gonna give you it, and
Aw.
I was like, she's not gonna wear this. So I just have it on my head.
One up me. You were gonna try to get her to one up me.
I
Well,
was just, no, to
No.
match you.
I could. that
well,
type of-
just wait. There might be something else in a minute. But we'll
I love it.
Okay, so that's all show and tell from last year. So I think I actually did everything. Which I
Good
think
for
is pretty
you.
fun.
Good
I
for
had
you.
fun doing it, even though we don't get the prizes, but we've got some really great prizes, guys. So make sure you stay till the end.
Yeah, these prizes are awesome. And we had a lot of people enter the challenge. So a lot of you worked really hard on it. We got a lot of entries. And so, but I think what we want to do first before we get to the good stuff of the prizes is we want to reveal the
Yes.
23 challenge, right?
Yes, and you and I got my staff involved. I'm sure you probably got.
I'm so glad you looked down.
Oh my God, I had to.
Okay. These are harder to see out of, but it's
I can tell
2023
you
now.
so, like she's got new ones on now, Liz. Yeah, so so you and I both worked on this list, and then we got our buddies at the shop involved. And it was super fun coming up with the list. I think we had a couple viewer suggestions that I incorporated, and yeah, so
That's exactly right. And you know what? We pulled it off. It's really hard to see out of these. We pulled it off, but 23 was kind of hard to get creative. So there's a couple that might overlap from past years.
well, but there's some things that are worth overlapping. Actually, I think one of mine that I thought was going to be an overlap, you ended up leaving out, but that's okay.
Sorry.
I think finishing a work in progress is always worthwhile.
You know what? I thought about that. I did think about that. And I don't know why I mean, we can definitely edit it before we reveal if you want. me to.
No, we're sticking with it. But to me, that's always like kind of my goals. Like, let me finish something. I love to start things, and I really love to finish.
Well, the
things.
truth is, you could technically use a number of these to finish a work in progress. And maybe we could talk about, because there's ideas that I have for all of these. So the top one that we really felt inspired by, particularly at the end of this year, is Stitch a Chart for Charity. So the last podcast you did was related to that topic. And make sure I say this correctly, was Jenny Henry and Sarah Truxas were kind of driving forces of this whole Charts for Charity, or I'm not sure how that actually.
I think it was, Morgan Julia was also very much involved.
Okay, so multiple different designers across our industry sort of developed this idea of charts for charity, which we love. Because as you've mentioned before, what better reason to stitch than to also support someone in the meantime? And I think charts are fun. Will you show yours because you were inspired to create one for your shop? I'm
So-
gonna have to think about it for next year, but this is darling.
Well, and it was super last minute. I'm very fortunate that I'm very good friends with my custom painter. She's Lisa Ferguson is her name. So she created the chart for me. But literally, I was talking to Sarah and Jenny about scheduling. We were talking on Thursday about doing it on Saturday, recording it on Saturday. And the Stars for Charity, just to give you a Reader's Digest, is you spend 15, 20, $25, whatever the chart is, you get most cases an auto download, and the designer sends all of those proceeds to the
charity they've chosen.
charity of their choice. Yes.
Mhm.
So we have Becky here, who's very near and dear to our heart. She's worked here for 5 years, I think. And her husband is a double lung transplant recipient.
Amazing.
And he is a 14-year survivor of that, which is amazing. It's giving me goosebumps just talking about it. And he's also near and dear to us because he's done a lot of the help with us with the floor redo here. So he's just awesome too. So they really relied on the Gift of Life, which is the organization that kind of coordinates a lot of things for these recipients. So anyway, so ours went to Church for Charity. So, and I said to Lisa, I want to give, sorry, I'm going to take this out of here because that's reflecting on the ours came with a coaster, a 4x4 coaster, as well as a 4-inch oval, and it's a champagne glass, of course, but you could do coasters or whatever. There, most of the charts for charity are designed on 13 mesh for whatever reason. You can always do them in 18, but then they shrink 25%. So just keep that in mind. And it was just really, really important to me. So I still have this goal of selling 100 of them, and I think we're at like 80.
All right. Hey, that's great.
I know, and we're going to keep it open. A lot of the charts for charity for the donations closed at the end of the year, but I know many people bought them. So you don't have to have bought one this year for it, but you could also wait until December this year and December of 2023 and squeak this out at the last minute. Or if you're like me, you've been collecting the charts for a while and you can go through your drawer and pick one out. But I stitched this in about
Absolutely, darling.
literally 3 hours. Like, so I just took the chart and I added the gingham background from Mary's Whimsical Stitch Volume 3, and it was super fun. So I love seeing like something emerge from nothing. So if you've never done a counted piece, it's a whole different experience, and you might not love it, but I do. I mean, I think it's really great. I try to do a counted piece at least once a year. So
It's awesome. I love it. And I've had multiple people because of Charts for Charity and because of a lot of like Abigail Cecile has some charts for sale. There's a lot of people out there selling charts. We've had a ton of people coming in or calling asking how to find canvas. And so we also have like colored canvas here at the shop. And so I think we're going to put them online so that because you could chart something and not even stitch the background if you did it on a piece of like red canvas, or it would be awesome to do, something in the center and then have that framed or whatever. So I'm going to try to get those on our website, but there's, you can always call either shop. Most local needlepoint shops sell canvas, I think, right?
And I don't think we have ours online either, but I already made them a note to make sure that we take care of that, because we have been selling it with our chart. We've been selling it, but it's kind of like part of the kit. So we'll make it separate because obviously there's lots of other awesome charts for charity out there.
Right.
And to find out, by the way, just go on Instagram and search hashtag charts for charity 2022. I think some of them are still open. So yeah,
Melissa did, and I'm sure more will continue to emerge. So so that's a great one. We love that. The next one was Melissa's idea, and I thought it was a cute one. Send a gift to a stitching friend. So you cannot count that cherry magnet also this year, just so you know. That was last.
I would say that was foreshadowing, because you should be gifting your stitching friends little things here and there. Like, it just makes people happy, right? So
I love that. And on our list here, we said maybe just as simple as a favorite thread or some new needles, just like hey, you're my stitching friend. You could maybe use some new fancy needles, or to your point, you said even maybe something bigger if you feel like being extra generous. So
make it a little surprise. It'll make somebody's day.
Oh, and I was going to do something, but I didn't. The next one on the list is Stitch the Pantone color of the year. And this year's Pantone color is called Viva Magenta, which actually isn't too far from my little lip color. So it's kind of a cross between a red and a maroon and a hot pink, and it's a beautiful color. What we should probably do is pull a list of different, hey, those bags look familiar.
No, this is our suede ones.
Oh, you got suede. Cool. We have the leather ones, but yeah, that's
like-
cool.
It's this color-ish. I'm just.
It is that color. Yeah. I think, yeah, it's kind of tough on screen to tell, but it's, again, Melissa did her very Perry a little more blue. I did mine a little more purple. I think Viva Magenta can be a little more red or a little more fuchsia, however you want to. But to your point, you can search Pantone color. I think it's Pantone 23 or something like that, and pretty easily figure that out too. So if you want to see a picture, but so that's that. The softball is Stitch While Watching a Pointing It Out podcast. So
quite often. So that's an easy one for sure.
so if you're watching this right now, grab your stitching and you can check the first one off the 23 list, right? So
Yeah.
there you go.
Let's take a second to just say, because we get this at the end of the year, we get this question a lot. So when the end of the year approaches, all you're going to do is you're going to send your proof that you did
Yes.
all 23 things this year in an email to pointingoutpodcast@gmail.com
Yep.
with a header 23 and 23 challenge.
Yep.
And you might include some pictures of things that you stitched, but you also might just have a check mark next to something with a date that you did it, as in that point. So I just thought I'd digress with that for a second because we get that question a lot.
And once again, no needlepoint police. We're not going to come out and, check your work. But we just hope that everyone gives it their best shot. So, I like the next one. You participate in a stitching retreat. Well, for those of you who are coming to our Pointing It Out podcast retreats this year, we haven't announced the dates of the fall, but Melissa has already set the dates and the guest list for the one in the spring. But if you aren't able to travel to a retreat, there are retreats all over the country. I know Stitching Fox does them. I know Nashville Needleworks does them. I know people do retreats all over the place. I know there's a Tanglewood in Dallas. There's all kinds of things.
And
but-
shops do smaller retreats outside
Yes.
of the podcast too.
Yes, yes. I was trying to not be too self-serving.
I know, but
Let's try
I
to get
feel,
it to
I think there's some people are sad when they don't get into the Pointing It Out podcast retreat, but they can still have kind of the same experience by going to yours or my shop. And those happen more frequently than once a year. So that's
Exactly right. And then, but for those people who are unable to travel, we wanted to also suggest possibly doing a Zoom class. Or I know that there's a group on Facebook that gets together and does stitches on Sundays. I know that Novella Needlepoint is going to do this stocking stitching, which I'm like desperately wanting to join. I want to start stitching stockings just so that I can be part of that group, because I have FOMO.
yes,
More
I
than
do.
anybody, stitching FOMO. So anyway, there's a lot of ways to stitch with a group, go to a stitching retreat or stitch with a group. So there's that one. The next one was your idea and I love it.
Yeah. So the next one is pick a month to stitch every day, and don't be overwhelmed by that. Like, I don't mean to sit down and bang out half an ornament. I mean, just sit down, even if it's 5 minutes. Like, I know myself that if I get a little stitching in every day, my mental space is so much cleaner. And I think the key to that is trying to find a dedicated space for your stitching. And again, it doesn't have to be a giant table. It can be just a little basket next to your chair so that you can pop that out and even do like 2 strands of basket weave before you go to bed. I know for me, I feel better when I stitch a little bit fairly frequently. So last year, Megan suckered me into dry January. Oh God.
I forgot we did that. That was a bummer.
Yeah, I did it. It was fine. This year I decided, instead of to do something that I was going to try not to do, I decided to do something that I was going to do. So
Oh, set an intention. I like that.
January for me this month is I'm working out every day. Again, even if like some days it might just be like a little 10-minute something, other days it's an hour, so I'm working out every day in January. That's my goal. We'll see if I make it. And February is going to be my month where no matter what happens, I'm stitching for 5 minutes every day. So
Love it. I love it.
Like
Sounds
that.
great.
It could be any month. It doesn't really matter. You pick your own month.
I love it. So the next one is stitch on the oldest piece in your stash.
Or,
I
or
think
your
that could be
best guess, right?
Or that's what I was just about to say. So I think that could be taken a couple of different ways. I'm going to use, I don't have it sitting here in front of me, but if you watched my chaotic stash unveiling the other day here at the shop, one of my oldest pieces, I think it's the second piece I ever bought for myself, is this big Meredith collection. It has 3 vehicles on it, like trucks. And so I'm going to try to work on that one. But it also could be like if something were gifted to you from a grandmother, something that's just old and special, I think that would be cool. Even if it hasn't lived in your stash for as long as some other pieces, I think that could arguably be a nice way to honor that challenge bit there. What do you think?
Well, I was gonna say, I really have no idea. Like, I know you had your stash in a suitcase. Mine wouldn't fit in a suitcase, Megan. Not even close, because I've been at this a lot longer than you.
It's fair. It's true.
I'm older than you are, and I started stitching younger than you did. So,
Fair.
you do the math. So, I think I mentioned that this one was 15 years old. I may or may not have something older than this, but maybe I'll call it this because I think that's close enough. So,
It's perfect.
don't get too uptight, people.
Okay. No needlepoint police.
Yeah.
So hold on, I'm like losing my spot
The
here.
next one, I came up with because my kids laugh at me. So it's visit a new to you LNS. So my kids laugh at me because whenever we go anywhere, I'm like, well, we have to go to the needlepoint store. They're like, Mom, you own one now. Why do we still have to go? I'm like, because I haven't been there. I want to check it out. So, and if you're someone I think who can't travel, maybe you're visiting your new to you LNS is hopping onto the internet and looking at a shop's website that you've never been to, or a shop's social media page that you've never been to. So I think ideally it'd be, I think we all loved the real in-person experience, but if that's not relevant to you for whatever reason, you can visit them virtually as well. So
I think that's a nice way to say that. Yes, I agree. We like to be as inclusive as possible here. So we don't want to exclude anyone from participating. We try to be really thoughtful about that. So use your imagination. How about that? My goodness, the school kids are out already. Goodness, they're all walking past. Okay. The next one is fun. Post 3 progress pictures on Instagram, or Facebook, and tag the Pointing It Out podcast. So can you tag us on Facebook? I know you can easily tag us on Instagram. You could even hashtag, just make a comment about the podcast in the comments. However you want to handle that. Again, no needlepoint police, but we just thought that would be fun to keep everybody interested in what each other is stitching.
And if you're someone who watches us on YouTube, but you actually don't participate much in social media, have your 12-year-old niece put it out there for you. It doesn't really have to be you. Just
There you go.
point out in the wild, and that's what we're after.
Email us at pointingitoutpodcast@gmail.com and we'll put it on our story or something. We can help do that.
Okay. So speaking of stitching, getting stitching out in the wild, I believe this was your clue and I love it. Or no, you know what? I think this was my Colleen's clue.
Yes, it was somebody
who works here. She's a flossette, as Kelly Clark has named us. So stitch on a plane, a bus, or as a passenger in a car. So I think that's a super great way to do it. I think though that's pretty inclusive of everybody in some way, shape, or form. I know I stitch in the car. I find it, the older I get, 13 mesh is a little easier to stitch in the car, just saying, but yeah, it's a fun way to
what we're trying to do is just to bring more awareness to the craft. And so our hope is that you might, we know you don't want to sit and talk to your airplane neighbor the entire time of your flight, but maybe he'll say or she will say, what are you doing? And you say, well, this is needlepoint. So that's kind of the hope, I think, is to kind of bring awareness.
Did I tell you, I have to remember, was it last year that it must have been last year, like kind of just immediately post-COVID, I had a lot of plane trips, like between us going to market and personal things. And every time I got on a plane, I stitched a piece of the Patricia Sew Nativity because they're so small that you could just kind of knock them out in a couple hours. And I had the same flight attendant on 2 different flights.
Oh, that's right. And she remembered.
It was actually a he, and he was like, oh, I've seen you before. So that was kind of funny.
That's funny. That's great.
So you never know what connections needlepoint will make, for sure.
Lots of fun. The next thing, we're gonna have to probably help people out just a little bit with this, and that's stitch a birthday plaid. I think it's generally called birthday plaid, but you can really do it with any series of numbers. So do you know, is there a pattern somewhere for this? Are you gonna hold up a book?
Look at this ancient book. Do you see how
I
yellow?
think I own that here. Yeah, yeah.
I think this was actually my mother's. And you can just search needlepoint plaid on the good old fashioned internet. You'll get all the answers, but this one is kind of fun. And the reason it's even here, I wasn't even thinking about that, but it shows like all sorts of things. But basically with a plaid, you're doing skip tent for a certain set of columns. And then you go back and you do skip tent for a certain set of rows with different colors. And the reason it's here is it was tucked in this bag because
fun.
I'm gonna do a plaid on the top of here.
Oh, fun. Oh, very good.
So it'll
That'll be
be
great.
a green, blue and white plaid up there. I don't know if it'll be a birthday plaid because the birthday plaid means like you do for my birthday, which everyone's probably aware of, is 0704. So I don't like it when you have zeros. So then maybe mine would be 7-4 and then 6 and 7. I do it 4 colors, but I only want to do 3 colors. But you would do 7 rows of something and then 4 rows of something. So I don't
Well, I
think
know somebody that uses white, one row of white as the zero.
it,
So it would be like 1 row of white, 4 of green, 1 row of white. What'd you just say? 7 and 4. So then 7 green, 4 purple, whatever, but that
it works better if you have a teen or a 20 in your birth date, right? But
Yeah.
I may just do a plaid and not do a birthday plaid. And I think I'm gonna say that counts.
you can also do a zip code. You can do a phone number. You can do any series of numbers.
I'll do 313. That could be cute.
Wedding date.
I like
all
the area
things
code. Very
So,
smart. Very
I
smart.
like it. This next one was my idea because it's one of my favorite things to stitch. It's to stitch a household item. So a picture frame, a pillow, a tray, a piece that hangs off of your china cabinet. I think there's a number of ways you can take that.
Paperweight.
Paperweight, very good idea. Yeah, kind of any number of different types of household items. I think that's kind of self-explanatory. And then couching a thread. So couch a thread onto something, and some examples are things that I sell at my shop and that Melissa only sells at her shop. I sell memory thread, which can be couched with a simple strand of Splendor. Melissa, you sell the teddy thread.
I do, but let's back up for a minute because I don't know if you get this question all the time, but I get this quite often. People, and I guess it's because we're selling people our teddy thread.
What
They're
is
like,
couch?
What's couching? I'm scared.
Yeah, tacking.
Basically you're tacking some sort of material or thread or fiber to the top of your canvas. Instead of stitching from the front to the back, you're laying it on top, and every 1/4 inch or so, you're using just a regular old-fashioned needle with 1 strand of cotton floss, beading thread, silk floss, something
Yep.
super skinny that matches it. You just loop over it and keep on going to keep it in place. So anyways,
Other things I thought of that could be couched are facets from Kreinik, GIMP from, is it Threadnuts that does the GIMP? Chenille,
so a lot of specialty fibers are really great couched on top. And I think we'll maybe spend an episode talking about those things because there's some really fun things out
very good idea. All right, next up, Sparkle and Shine. Stitch a canvas in almost all metallic thread.
So our PSA, my finishing manager will kill me, and yours probably as well if we don't mention this. We love, love, love metallics in our shop, especially Liz. If you've watched Liz for half a second, if you happen to tune in on Tuesday mornings to the Wool and Floss, she's sparkle all the way. And I know your Lauren is as well.
Oh yeah.
Sparkle thread tends to, for the most part, not be a natural fiber. Imagine that. It doesn't block well. So if you are going to stitch in all metallic, make sure you stitch on a frame and do your best to stitch in basket weave where possible as opposed to continental.
Yep, exactly right. And I'm excited because we're trying to get some of our sparkle threads online. So
You're a
stay-
brave, brave lady.
Stay tuned. I'm excited about it. Buy yourself a new organizational tool. There are so many out there. You know, Melissa bought herself what is it called? An old card catalog? Or like a maker's, what is it? Is it a card catalog?
Art catalog from a Catholic girls' school when in the old days before the internet, where you had relied on the Dewey Decimal System and you had to look
Yes.
up like your book about how to needlepoint would have been, you'd have to go to the end subject area and find needlepoint, and then you'd get your Dewey Decimal number to go to the shelf. So
Right.
that was the Cadillac of organizational tools.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. And so you could take it as big as a piece of furniture, or you could say, buy yourself a new notebook just to dedicate to taking notes about your craft. Or you could buy some floss away bags or a project bag, or I don't know, any other ideas from you?
Needle case, beading
Cool.
case,
Mhm.
anything that's going to keep you organized.
Exactly right. Try stump work. So we both sell the A to Z of stump work book in our stores. I know that sounds, to me, that sounds very scary. Stump
Very
work sounds
intimidating.
scary. But the first few pages in the stump work book are French knots, bullion knots. I mean, it's really, is the definition, Melissa, just anything that kind of comes up off of the canvas, right? Like anything dimensional kind of, right?
And I would say, like, I shouldn't go out there, but I will because I'm such a Kelly Clark fangirl. Like to me, she's the queen of stump
Queen
work.
of stump work. I
in the
agree with that.
needlepoint genre. And she's the one who brought this book to my attention. And so she does all sorts of things. Like she'll do wired wings that are then woven, and like things that are absolutely amazing, but are a little scary to the average stitcher. So
Or like, what about, it's actually in the book where like, if you wanted to do like a little lace collar, you can like crochet off the edge of the, like, it's called needle
buttonhole, the detached buttonhole or needle weaving, that one too.
weaving, I think is what I'm thinking of. But yeah, that's, I mean, there's cool things. And I think just give it a shot, you know?
Right. Wrapped,
give-
wrapped wooden pony beads, super easy and make
Yep.
a big impact. So yeah, I think that'll be super fun.
And then the next one we had to suggest that perhaps you listen to something other than your favorite video podcast on YouTube. So the next one is to listen to an audiobook or an audio podcast. So we know a lot of people are interested in the crime podcasts and but I love a good audiobook, and I've been trying to do more of that instead of junk television, which I've been kind of addicted to lately. I know you're a big reader. I don't know if you listen to audiobooks.
I do listen to audiobooks, and I'm going to also go out there, and hopefully she won't hang me by my toenails for saying this, but if you need a good recommendation for an audio podcast, I'd say call the Clubhouse on Wednesdays and talk to Eileen, because she is like
Oh,
the
she's a huge
queen of
podcast.
the podcast.
She is. She loves she drives a lot. And
That's
so
what
she
she
listens to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly right. Good
Our
call.
Colleen also has always full of podcast recommendations too. So it's a whole genre that I don't spend that much time with, that I think there's a lot of really interesting stuff out there. So
I don't have dedicated time for it, but I will say we have started something called Thread and Ink, which is our book club here at the shop. And our upcoming book is, oh my gosh, the name just went right out of my head. It's Hanging a Single Thread.
yes,
Is that what it's called? And it's an audiobook, and it's about women who sew, maybe. I don't know if it's about needle pointing. It's some kind of needlework.
Yes,
right?
it was embroidery in England in the 20s, I believe. And it's just like a good girl story of people supporting each other. And yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
So I would suggest that as like a stitchy needle and thread kind of list.
Why not?
Stitch with a Friend. I think that's a pretty easy one. We like to throw that in because we love the community that we have built or helped to build, I hope, with the
The
needlepoint.
stitch clubs have been reemerging. I think, they quieted down for obvious reasons the last couple of years, but I know Stitch Club Detroit is like up and running now. And we hosted it here a couple weeks ago and
Perfect.
had a whole table of stitchers under 30. How exciting was that?
That's amazing. I love that. I wish I was one of them.
And none of them knew each other. So how about
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Oh, that's even better. That's awesome.
Great.
I think this was your idea, Melissa, and it took me a minute to understand it, but your idea was to customize a canvas.
Yes.
So
And I think for a lot of people when they first start stitching, they're like, well, the artist knows better than I do. I couldn't possibly change any of it. Well, the artist might be a, more seasoned artist than we are, but they don't know what your end idea is for your project. So you might need to make it bigger. So add a border. Did that last year. Changing a color is either really easy for stitchers or really hard. It just seems like they're like, so we have a lot of people here that help stitchers get over the hurdle of changing a color, because sometimes you love a canvas, but like that bright orange isn't your jam. So, so change a color, add some sort of object to it, add your monogram, as simple as adding your monogram if you want.
Make a cat a dog, make a dog a cat. Change the color of the dog to make it look like yours.
Exactly.
Something simple. And I can't remember if this was last year or 2 years ago, but beading on a canvas, bedazzle. I can't remember what it
which
was.
year either, but I'm absolutely gobstruck that you chose that one, because you have a little bit of a reputation of saying that beads are your favorite. I love to bead. So for the record, clearly Megan wants to set up a challenge for herself as well. So good for you.
Well, I need to continue to try. How about that? I need to continue to try. And I will tell you, I don't know if you saw at the podcast retreat, Ann Fisher, Don Lynch, and Rachel
That's
Don.
where you were going to go. Yes.
And Don taught Ann, right,
Yeah,
how to
correct.
brick bead. And that turned out so dang cool. She brick beaded the, like that classic ornament. And there was no thread on it, right? It was all beads. And
Clear.
when she held that up to show the finish, it was so cool. And so I thought, maybe hand to God, have never tried brick beading.
So it's so much
just
easier.
maybe.
It's much easier than basket weave beading. So I think, yes, for sure. If you haven't tried that, I think it could change your mind about beading. You never know.
We'll see. I'll either have Ann or Don teach me. Maybe that we'll keep the train going.
Okay.
And this is one of my very favorite things to do. I have really turned into an over dye thread lover. It used to scare me because I wasn't sure. Well, frankly, it used to scare me for two reasons. Number one, because I was a big basket weaver and I've kind of grown a little over that. Not over it, but a little up over it, I guess. I don't know how you want to call it. But yeah. And then I also I'm like, used to be like a really full coverage girl. Like I don't want to see any canvas. And I think overdyed threads are so cool with open canvas stitches. So I just want to encourage more people to use overdyed thread.
Well, maybe I'm going to have to dig into my stash further and find something older than this, so I can call this my overdyed stitching, because this
Yeah,
color,
that's pretty neat.
repeat those sky colors, is perfect. So it's really a matter of like marrying the right color, the right overdyed thread with your canvas. So, and overdyed to me is overdyed, variegated, tonal. They're all
anything that's not pure color.
So yeah,
100%. And we can talk about this later, but like I know you probably carry Vineyard Tone on Tone like we do, Pepper Pot hand paint, Threadworks. I think Silk Straw can kind of be considered an overdye because it's not a pure color. There's so many that you can try. Watercolor.
Technically, the Silk Road fibers, the ones that have the red and white stripes are overdyed, and the green and white supposedly are solids. We also have a lot of overdyed ribbon, which is beautiful. So that would count. Yeah, there's lots of really fun, great choices. So
the next is a gimme, Stitch Outside. I have been trying so hard to get some fresh air. I'm suffering from that seasonal depression where I just don't want to, it's gloomy and I'm just like not wanting to get out of bed. And so get outside, take a deep breath, take your stitching with you, even if it's freezing cold and you just need a couple breaths of fresh air, put in your 2 stitches for the day and move on with life. So that's kind of my gimme right now.
I can assure you I will not be doing it in the cold, but I can also equally assure you that I will be doing it this summer.
In the warm. Yeah. I just think it's a good idea to remind ourselves to take a deep breath, get outside, grab some sunshine when you can. And yes, so
I like it. I like it. And last but not least,
23 is for me. So stitch something for yourself.
Love it.
I don't know if you watch the Today Show. My husband, believe it or not, is like a big Today Show guy. But Chenille, who's on like the like second half of the Today Show, is hilarious. And she always comes up with like her mantra for the year. And then they give her trouble every year because she never does it. But I was like, I'm gonna have a mantra for this year. It's gonna be 23s for me. It won't last, but it's something to think about.
I like it. Well, back to, January, the mommy days. So at least embrace it for January until May, because then you're kind of short changed after that, but
So
sorry.
your needlepoint can be just as much for you as it can be gifting, which I do love to give a good gift, but yeah, so that is 23. Believe it or not, that is 23 items. We will proceed with putting this on our grid on Instagram. Hopefully it will be on both of our websites. Somehow you are always faster and better at that than I am. I always forget, and I'm not as tech savvy.
Her name
And-
is Emily. Her
Say that
name,
again.
her name is Emily.
Okay, all right. Well, hopefully we will both have a link on our websites. And hopefully then what we'll do is have a link to the list on the bio in the Putting It Out podcast Instagram page.
Well,
Any other-
remember, Kaylee got us up to snuff, and we have a link tree on Pointing It Out podcast. So
Great.
there'll be a link through Linktree on Instagram because
Love
we're
that.
fancy.
Love that. Well, we are ready to move into the prize section of our episode.
I'm not ignoring you by getting out my phone. I am pulling up the random number generator. There you go.
That's
So
right.
we're gonna
And
use
I have a list of everyone who participated numbered. We had a
Okay.
great group of people who participated, and
you.
we have how many presents? Prizes?
We have 12 prizes, and they vary greatly from being as simple as a needle minder to the grand prize compliments of Needlepoint System 4. So if you have been dying to have a stand, we have talked about this earlier this year. Hopefully you got your things in, because they're donating a frame clamp and any type of stand you want. So if you want a floor stand, you want a travel mate stand, you want a lap stand, you can choose between those three and you get a clamp. How about that?
Amazing. And that's like a $700-ish. Am I doing the math right?
Not quite
600?
that high, like 450. But
For the
still,
clamp and yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing.
they're super, super generous. We have done a lot of business with them this year. I'm sure you have as well. And they're just super generous, fabulous to work with.
Absolutely.
We take the orders, we being the local needlepoint shop, and they drop ship them directly to the customer. So there's not double shipping charges involved, and they're amazing. So I can't say enough good things about Jennifer. She was on the podcast earlier this year to talk through like all the different stand kind of things you could want to know. So if you don't have a needlepoint stand and you want more information, I think we did that maybe in June. I can't remember, but if you go to YouTube, you'll be able to find it. So yeah, so I think we'll start with, and we've got a lot of other people that have donated things, so I'm gonna let you know that along the way. So should we just start with the needle minders? We'll work our way up.
I think that sounds awesome.
Okay, so I have 3 of these, so we'll do these kind of quickly. These were, say, Pointing It Out podcast 22 and 22. So this will be a reminder that you won the prize. Oh boy, hope I have my Mac charger with me. Oh, Megan, pause for a second. Sorry. We're pausing for station identification. Back in
All right.
business. Sorry about
Back
that. So these are donated by Megan and I as part of the podcast prizes. So I've got 3 of those. So let's see who our winners are. You want to give me a number? Or no, I give you the number.
Give me the number and I tell you who it is.
Okay, generate number 31.
All right, Amanda Rasmussen.
Okay, so
And I'll make a note. Reminder.
I'm going to be the one that ships these out.
Okay.
So what I might do, if it's okay with everyone, if like Amanda orders from me, I think it's a month or so. So I might hold on to these for like 3 or 4 weeks and just include them with an order, just to
Okay.
simplify the process, if that's okay with everyone.
I would
So
say when someone watches, maybe they should just email you or give you a call and let you know.
if you're not on file with us, definitely contact us and we'll find a way to reach you. Okay, so we have 2 more needle minders.
Okay.
Number 38.
Oh my goodness, these are high numbers.
We have a lot of
Mary Ellen Seeley.
Okay, perfect. Okay, next we have 1 more needle minder, then we'll get on to the next prize. They're all in the 30s. I don't know why. 35.
Bernice Sullivan.
So far, I'm familiar with all of these lovely ladies.
Funny, yeah.
Okay, so those are the needle minders. Next up is from Painted Pony, and I'll be honest, I have a couple prizes that were actually donated for my shop's use for local needlepoint shop day, which was the weekend after market. And if you all have followed us at all, you may recall that I got COVID at market. So our shop had big plans for local needlepoint shop day that then didn't happen because two of us here had COVID. So from I have two sets of these. So these are canvas fobs.
Oh, that's so cute.
Like it with the scissors and the needle and the heart and the thread. And then again, Megan and I are donating a coordinating fob. So this would just be super cute hanging on your needlepoint bag or whatever, just to kind of tag you as a stitcher. So I have two of these because Painted Pony donated these. And then again, Megan and I threw these in. So the first one be number 31. I have no idea why we're getting all these 30s. So weird.
Well, and I think that's the same person, Amanda Rasmussen. Should we draw again? 31?
Sorry, Amanda. I think we probably should, don't you?
Mm,
We didn't discuss this ahead of time. What were the?
I don't, it shouldn't draw the same number twice. Try it again.
Okay, sorry,
Amanda.
Amanda. Number 19.
Okay. Number 19 is Judy Donnelly.
Okay. Who is kind of funny because she is the mother-in-law of the famous Rachel Donnelly, who also donated a prize. So
Oh, cool.
we'll
Good.
go with Judy, and I've got one more, number 28.
Okay. Wait a second.
We
No,
haven't done
that's-
these.
That one shouldn't have been numbered. Sorry. It doesn't, it's a line that doesn't have an item on it. So sorry. Pick again. Pick again. Pick again.
Pick again. 24.
Is Erin Horak?
Okay, and I know Erin as well, so she will get a needle minder and fob. So moving on up,
Right.
moving prizes aside, this was another local needlepoint shop day gift, and
Cute.
so many prizes. I think last year we didn't have as many because, you know, we ask our vendors to donate things. But this was from Laura Love, and it's a 3x3 insert. So it could be used for anything, but it does fit in the Planet Earth insert. So it's a beautiful floral piece on mesh from Laura. And this will go to number 34. Or did we do 34 already?
Okay, I don't like this number generator. No, we didn't. Susan Earnshaw.
Okay. So Susan Earnshaw. Yay, this is so fun. Laura Love. Okay.
Don't be disappointed if you haven't been called yet because there's big prizes coming. So
There's still more. So this is super cute. And I will introduce it, but I'll let Megan talk about it a little bit more. So this little fabulous tobacco leaf circle, I think it's a 4-inch circle, is designed by Kate, right? Is that her first name? Woodward. And Megan has a special relationship with Kate. So I'll let you give a little
Kate is the daughter of a local needlepointer here in St. Louis. She is obviously a beautiful painter, created these designs. And since I've been introduced to Kate, she and I have decided to enter into a business relationship. So she is my first licensed artist for the Gingham Stitchery. So I didn't ask her. She just sent that and said, you know, give this as a prize. I will tell you something. I didn't have the heart to pull that apart. See how beautiful she did that with like drawing on the needlepoint, but probably you're going to want to tape it before you send it.
I know, I will take it apart. I will take all of these for everybody. But that's also why I didn't take it out of the plastic, because it's just so cutely put together. And
Yeah, she's very clever like that. So well
I
done.
already have orders for the Gingham Stitchery. So, you know, when you're ready, I'm keeping a list already, miss.
We're
So
getting it together. Thank
very
you.
exciting for you. So let's find out who gets to be excited about getting that beautiful piece, which is not currently available, which is super fun.
Right, it's not in circulation yet.
Number 29.
29 is Deb Cockrell.
Okay.
So
Cockrell. Okay,
and it's
awesome.
an 18 count mesh, so it's very detailed and beautiful. So
It is gorgeous. Okay, so we talked about Judy Donnelly earlier, who's the mother-in-law of Rachel. Rachel was at the podcast retreat and very generously donated the greetings, wish you were here, along with a matching needle minder. How cute is that?
very,
So that will go to number 24.
That one's already been pulled. Pull again.
Whoops. Try again. 13.
13. Lucky number 13 is Terry Chaffee.
Terry, that's awesome. She'll be thrilled. Okay.
So wait, that was Rachel Donnelly. Okay, I was just making a note. Sorry.
And then this is from, and I am going to take this apart, although it's also put together, but it's a little kind of variety pack. And super, like this just showed up in the mail one day. They didn't even call me first, but it is from Atlantic Blue. And I don't know, do you know Atlantic Blue's first name, her real name?
I
I'm
wish I did. I can look it up real fast.
Sorry, I don't know her first name offhand and I should. Wait, maybe it's in here. We're gonna find out her first name. Caroline. So it's from Caroline at Atlantic Blue. I've talked to her before. I apologize that I couldn't come up with her first name, but she very sweetly donated the Santa.
Oh, I love that. I love that. She also has Mrs. Claus stitching. She's very clever. She does a nice job.
Oh, but see, it's really Kathy Brandt. I'm so confused. So this is a Kathy Brandt design.
Okay, well,
So I'm super confused about that relationship, but that's okay. So here's Santa stitching, and then she has a little pad, and I'm going to read it because it'll be backwards. It's a little pad, and it says stitch plan, manage your canvas, canvas name, purchase from, date purchased, finishing ideas, space for your threads, your lot numbers, your color number, any notes. So it's cute little stitching pad, and then a whole bunch of probably super fun little stickers. So that'll,
oh, yes, yes. You know, we received some of those in the mail. That was really sweet of her to send those. Yes, I forgot about that.
okay, so that goes to number 16.
Number
16.
Anne Ellington.
Oh, Anne will be so excited.
And
There we go. Atlantic Blue. Okay, so I'm going to put all that together. Now we're getting up to our, and these we've shown off before. They were the first things that were donated to us. I think on our second quarter, we talked about Carl Schill. Carl is OKS Designs.
yes.
And his wife Cheryl is an avid stitcher. She's been to the Pointing It Out podcast retreat in St. Louis. She's coming to our KISS retreat at the end of the month for Keep It.
Nice.
So yeah, so we get to see her again. So this gorgeous cherry blossom.
That's beautiful.
I would say it would be in a double eyeglass case, but you know what? It might be fun to make this an eyeglass case and maybe this an insert for an acrylic clutch. So this is going to go to number 38 if we haven't pulled 38 yet.
38. We already pulled.
I thought that sounded like a familiar number.
Yep.
22.
22 is Debbie Fink.
Yay. Okay. And Carl not only donated that beautiful canvas, he also donated a second one. Look at these hot air balloons. I kind of hope this goes to someone in St. Louis because you guys have that festival, don't you?
Oh, yeah. That'd be awesome. Yes.
But it's gorgeous no matter what. And if you don't live in St. Louis, maybe you need to go visit Megan at her shop during the Hot Air Balloon Festival and make this a reason. Number 37.
I think that's in August, maybe September. 37 is Abigail Whiffen.
Abigail Whiffen, yay. Okay, and last but not least, I should have grabbed my stand. Don't know where it is in the shop right now. Will you grab it, Liz? So again, the stand has been donated by Needlepoint System 4. They sell all of their things a la carte, meaning that you pick your base and you pick your clamp. So they have like Q-snap frame clamps for people who do cross stitch. And for needle pointers, most of us work on obviously the hard frame. So this is the frame clamp. So you need that with everything you get. And then this beast that I'm going to hold up is the Travel Mate floor clamp or floor stand, and it folds up and then this part goes up and down, so all sorts of flexibility. They also have a floor stand that doesn't collapse and go into a carry-on bag, and they also have lap stands, or a table stand which has a flat base and an arm with the frame clamp. So whoever wins this can choose their type of clamp, which I guess if they're a cross stitcher and they watch us, they can choose the Q snap holder. If they are a needle pointer, they would want the frame clamp. And then they can pick their stand. And they also even told me that if for some reason somebody has a frame clamp, they could choose like the other type of stand. And then maybe instead of the frame clamp, they could choose a bunch of accessories. But I'll talk to the winner about all those details. But they
Yeah.
are being amazingly generous and amazingly flexible. And we couldn't love Daryl and Jennifer more for doing all
Yay.
this. So,
Awesome.
okay. So are we ready? Here we go.
Hey,
Say 28 already?
yes.
Okay. 26?
Cindy Barnett.
Cindy Barnett.
I feel like she won something last year too. That's so funny.
She did. I think she won a canvas last year.
That's so funny.
Oh, you know what? I think she won the Stella last year.
Oh, well, how is that the best look ever? Holy cow. I'm telling you, I had all these sheets. I had everybody's names. I have them all numbered. There is like no
Nope.
faking it. So, man, that's crazy.
That is amazing. Well, she's a lovely person and a prolific stitcher. So that will be
Awesome.
very exciting for her. So yeah,
Very cool.
well, I can't thank the people enough that have donated prizes. It's, everything is, they're just giving these out of the goodness of their heart. And with lots of comments to us about thanking us for donating our time for doing this thing that we do a couple times a month. So, but of
We're
course,
into 2023.
you have a wardrobe of them. Have we seen them all?
My kids
Oh,
didn't take them. I had a whole thing of them and we didn't celebrate. I mean, everybody was in bed at my house at 23, like the New Year. So I was like, come on, we gotta use it. And I tried to get the kids' friends to all pose in them and they were like, so I have them now.
very, very well said. I like it.
We
my
can
dear,
say
well-
I'm not trying to have a little bit of fun around here, right?
This is my fun. Toasting in the new year.
That was beautiful. That was it is beautiful. It was well done. So
Haley keeps
we
saying,
have a lot of fun things that we have thought through for this year as far as people to get on the podcast. We've got retreats coming up. I'm just really looking forward to this year as a fresh new start. So onward, right?
betcha. And I don't know if I'll see you in person until May at the podcast retreat, but we'll figure that
Well,
out.
are you planning to go to market in March?
Oh, yeah.
'Cause that's before
feel-
May.
Well, it's because we work so darn hard at market. I know it's like all good fun, and it is fun, but I think the last market you and I saw each other for about 20 minutes.
Yeah, we did like a quick dinner and ran into one another in the hallway, but you were extra busy. So.
Yeah, I was a little short-staffed. Thank you, COVID again.
Honestly, I was gonna say I'm actually glad I didn't see you very much last time because you had COVID. So
Sounds like I didn't give it to anybody. Even the people that I shared the pre-market condo with didn't get it. So, who knows? Crazy town. Anyway, I'm off the hook for a little while from COVID. I'll probably be just primed up for it by the time March comes around.
let's hope not. Let's not talk like that. So, all right. Congratulations to all the winners. Thank you to all those who participated. Let's rock and roll again for 23. Let us know if you have any questions, and we will proceed to get this list out and about in the public eye ASAP. So,
Well, I have one last question.
What?
Next time we do a podcast together, can I stitch while we do it so that I can check off something on the list?
sure. Sure. Zoom together or stitch with a friend or stitch.
Well, you're supposed to watch the podcast and stitch the same.
Oh, yes, you can.
Okay. Anyways, thank you for joining us. If you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. That helps other stitchers find us. It also gives you a little nudge to remind you when we've uploaded, which is generally every 2 weeks, Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. And every now and then we miss a week because it's something like New Year's Eve or whatnot. So anyway,
Life is what it is, but
yeah. Thanks for spending time with us. Good to see you, my dear.
bye-bye.
Bye.